How's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. So I just got off the phone with a customer and he wanted to know some advice on investing in, particularly comic books and what he should buy, price point and all this kind of stuff because he was seeing certain comics going 100, 200% in a year and which is better than a lot of stocks and real estate and all that kind of stuff. And so he wanted just more advice. And I gave him a list of books. It's the same list that I give in my top 10 best, comic books to invest in. And, he was in a certain price point, a higher end price point. So I gave him a list, their typical Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men, Fantasy 15, things like that. And he said he already had some of those. He wanted some other ones. And I told him there's Amazing Spider-Man #1. That's a good book to have and things like that because you want your more safe ones. His goal is to hold these for a while, not just flip them in 6 months or something like that. And so, I was like, Spider-Man 1. He's like, oh, well, where can I get one? I was like, well, I have one. I have a 3.0, I believe, or a 3.5. And he's like, well, how much is that? And I told him. And he's like, well, is that a good deal? And I straight up told him, I was like, well, it depends what your goal is. If your goal is you want a Spider-Man 1 because you want to collect it, you want to hold it, you want to have it, whatever, then yeah, it's a good deal. It's, the cheapest that you can find online at the current moment. And then, but I was like, if your goal is to invest, which that's why he was talking to me, then no, it's not a good deal. Because I told him, and this is the same thing I'm going to tell you guys, you get the best deal when you buy something. That's when you really make your money, right? If your goal is for investment purposes, money making, it doesn't matter if it's comics, it's stocks, or real estate, right? You make your money when you buy something. That's when you make your most money. So if you get something that's undervalued or under market, that's how you make your money. And that's what I was explaining to him. So I talked him out of him buying it from me because I was like, look, this, I have this price, and this is price for someone that's like, look, I want this now. I think it's going to go up in the future. It's the best I can get, whatever like that. But if you have time on your hands, then you should hunt and wait for a good deal if you want a particular book. But if number one, the time isn't worth it for you, or you just maybe it's like I just kind of want it now. I still think it's going to go up, and you're not too worried about it. That's fine, because in 10 years, yeah, that book is going to be worth a lot more than it is today, even if you bought it at the peak market, which be pretty much like my price, right? Because I'm a dealer. But if you have time, you can wait and hunt. And that's when you make the best deal. So I told him, it's like, don't buy it from me. Wait until a better deal comes along. And it's like, well, how do you know a better deal comes along? There's two ways you can get a better deal. Number one, someone lists something and maybe they have the price too low compared to market value. They don't really know market value, or they're in a tough financial spot. And so you hit them up and they're like, will you take this price? And they're like, yeah, I'll take it, right? That's how you can get a deal. Another time is if you get one in auction, right? And you can get a good deal. You can get a book 10 to 20, maybe even 30% off its peak market value just by hunting. So you can save a ton of money. And here, let me show you some examples. All right, so this is Ultimate Fallout 4. Very common book. Look, 98 have sold in the last 90 days. And you see this dark blue line? That is the average. But you see the light purple? That are the peaks and valleys. Look at this one alone, right? The peak is way up here and the valley is way down here. That's the difference. So let's look at June. June's like a couple weeks in, not even a week and a half, right? Just in June alone, right? Starts off at $850. Look, this is an auction book. You can tell because the random number at the end. That's usually how you can tell it's an auction book. Sold for $244. And then later at the end of June, one sold for $2,900. Now this is not out of the blue. Like other ones have come. There's a $2,900 in May and stuff like that. So this person right here, right, off of this price, just saved 20%. A little less than that. Somewhere around there. Right around 20%. Right? From this price. Just because they waited for an auction book. This one was a buy it now, and it was listed for $2,600. Right? And previously, the same day, one buy now for $2,800. So someone that's listed it really low. Maybe they needed the money. They wanted it gone. Maybe someone offered them a price and they just took it, right? So then you can look at it here in a 9.6. And let's just take recent sales, right? Just in June alone, you got one for selling $950, and then literally a day later, one sells for $1346, right? This one looks like an auction book too. Maybe someone just got caught up in the auction. Who knows? But even still, you have one selling for $1,100, and that's what you need to wait. If you can literally save 10 to 20% just by waiting, and this was only a day in between. Just looking for that good deal. And that goes across the whole thing. Look at the Spider-Man 300, right? This one's going to have less sales, so it's going to be different. But yeah, just, going from 68 to 81, 85, just in a few days. Here we go, 60 sales. That'll be a bigger jump. A day apart, you're saving $400 right here, right? This one, $2,800. And this was an auction. You can tell it has this little line under it. So look at that, $2,100 to $2,800. 22, 18. Like, look at that difference. Look how much money you're saving. My mouse is acting up. Now let's go over to Hulk 181. Right? Let's look at something that has a decent amount of sales. Here we go, 7.5. Has some decent amount of sales. 14. Look at that. 10% in a day, your savings. Between these two. Just like someone paid 10 grand for this one. Really wanted it. Look at the difference. About 7,600, 8 grand. Like, that's $1,400. $1,400 that you can save just by waiting and hunting for a good deal. And that's kind of like my point. Is like you want, like, if your goal is to make money off of these, well, then you want to get the best deal possible. Same with buying a house, right? When you if you can get into a house, like right now it's crazy, but you want to try to get a good deal to begin with. I had a friend who was looking for a house. He bought a house. This was a year ago. And the lady just wanted to move. She just really wanted to move. She lived in the house forever, so it made no difference to her, right? She didn't have a mortgage she had to pay back after selling the house. And it was just sitting on the market for a while. He got it like $100,000 under the appraised value. Under the appraised value. It came back appraised $100 over what he was paying. So instantly, as soon as he moved in, 100 grand in equity. This one's 2,800 up to 3,800. 34. It's like 10% difference. Like, you can even do, let's see if there's any fantasy 15s. You can see a big difference. Let's see. I mean, these were a month apart and about $10,000 apart. Let's see. Let's see if this one has some close to sales together. This one you're saving about $1,000. Between these two, though, you're saving $3,000. $3,000. Yeah, it's like 10%, right? But when you're this high, it's $3,000. That's literally a car. You can get a junker car for $3,000. But see the difference? This is my point in like waiting and waiting for a good deal and not just giving in to FOMO and going, yeah, I need it now. Now, if you don't care about the money and you just want the book, fine, whatever. If you don't care about the investment purposes, whatever, it's fine. But that's what happens with the same thing I talk about with hype. It's like everyone needs this book, and so they buy, and then eventually, the hype dies and it goes down, when the hype will eventually go down on certain books that don't have, a nice base that they've built up over decades. But yeah, so that's why I kind of told the guy, and I'm telling you guys, is if you're doing this for investment purposes, try to find a good deal to begin with. That is the best way to, maximize your money, your profits, your return on your investment, is buying the book at a good deal to begin with, or whatever it is that you're buying it at a good deal to begin with. And if you have time, you can hunt and you can wait. If you're not patient, then you're going to have to pay for it. Then you're going to have to go to someone like me. I facilitate these books and I have them for people to buy, but yeah, I'm a dealer, so I have to have them at dealer prices, right? But unless you really the only time I personally buy a book at dealer prices, peak prices, is if I can't get it anywhere else, right? There's none available and I want that book and I think it's going to go up. So it's either get it or don't get it at all, right? Kind of like I got that Albedo 2. It's look, I have to pay top dollar for this book, but I know it's worth it. And, that's what I just got to do. And so, yeah, I did it knowing in the future. A lot of my books that, I think are, I did my top 10 speculation books. A lot of those books I bought straight up top dollar, straight from dealers, because I'm okay, I think this is going to go up significantly amount, right? But if you're willing to hunt and wait, that's how you find the best deal. So remember that. You make your money when you buy something. So make sure that you get a good deal. All right, if you like this kind of stuff, think about subscribing. If you are subscribed, thank you. And as always, link to my website down below, collectorscomics.com. We release all new stuff on Wednesdays, usually. So if you're looking for new stuff and you see things that I post in these videos, usually they'll be up on Wednesday. And have a good day.